What's up, YouTube? This is AjilityPoints. I'm going to show you the importance of farming and how it can make you tons of money, thirds amounts of XP towards multiple skill trees, and make some of the best buffs in the game with absolute ease. It all starts with farming. So for money, by farming we can accumulate a ton of heart berries, bomb peppers, glow tulips, and carrots early on. You can use these to craft tons of fishing bait at the bait workbench and turn that in for massive profit. I recently done it myself, but if you're collecting a bunch of heartberries and bomb peppers and glow tulips, you can take that, you can take like half if you want, head over here and start just turning it into fish bait. You might be the same way I was when I first started, where I made a bunch of food and realized that I can sell that food and, you know, increase my cooking skill, as well as make some money off of it. But I've found that making this bait is very, very nice because it's relatively difficult to increase your crafting XP. Whereas like cooking just by farming naturally and the obvious benefits of farming, you're going to be doing a lot of it. And so it's, in my opinion, much better to go for fishing bait. Sell that. That's an easy 4,000 right there. And that wasn't even like really much, right? Like I did half of what, 600 or something like that. And you can tell I've been doing it for like a while. Like you just get so much money. If anything, this is too much money. There's not much you can do with it. But even early on, if you're doing that because you have access to the fishing bench or the fishing bait, and you have access to this dude after the first boss, the more bosses you take down, the more of his shop becomes available to you. So you can just buy out his supply as he refreshes his stock. Grab whatever you actually need. Probably not so much gold because you don't really use gold on too much, but eventually, like even with this dude, you might, you know, grabbing mechanical parts might be pretty tedious, and maybe you're not in that biome too often to be grabbing it, but you could always just pick that stuff up whenever it's ready, right? Let me just put all this away really quick. Okay, so where do we leave off? Yeah, so I mean that's a lot of money. That's a huge way to make that profit, and so on and so forth. You can do a smaller harvest than what I have. You can see how big my garden is. I don't really want to pick all this up right now because I got all this to show you guys in a minute. But it's pretty massive. It doesn't need to be this big. Mine is really just this big because it ends around here. Because I just really wanted to push my skills to try and get them to max as early as possible. But eventually, even I'll probably cut this down and make it a little more efficient for the things that I actually need. But that's mostly always going to be like, you know, I could just strictly do heartberries. I don't need to do bomb pepper and glow tulips unless there's a reason to. But I could do strictly heartberries as the fishing bait resource if I need to, and then whatever else that I feel is important, which is most likely like blow oat and stuff like that. So yeah, you can do a smaller harvest than this and you'll still have enough money for most upgrades mid to late game pretty easily. Having one around this size contributes to other important things as well, like I mentioned, the skill raising and the what I'm going to mention, which is food. Ultimately, by having a fairly sizable farm, you're going to be raising your farming skill super fast. This quickly results in obtaining golden food, which when you consider its abundance, it becomes the best food in the game without feeling like you have to use them cautiously. Being able to just pop a single food and heal to full in a matter of seconds without having to waste precious potions is pretty game changing. Or even having 400 smoothies that will heal you and give you an attack buff so that you're just naturally stronger. And let's see. So yeah, let's just talk about food buffs, right? We got the stats you gain from mixing golden food, the stats you get are just, they're so big, it's worth investing time into maxing out farming. And to be honest, it's easily one of the quickest skills to max out in the game. And you know, you can max it as fast as you want. You can make like a relatively large farm early, like I have, and just max it out pretty quickly. But my farm was about half this size, and I still managed to get it to max in a short amount of time. And then early on, you can try this method of water placement for your water can, but it'll become even faster if you use sprinklers to water for you. And the upgraded hoe tool for the massive chunks is both speedy and very satisfying to watch. So let's go over some of the god tier food you'll be making, right? First, we'll discuss one of my favorites, which is new to 1.0, and this involves the duck butt. Duck butt is these little dudes right here. I call them duck butt because they might not show it, but they got adorable little duck butts. They're actually dodos, and after you beat the first 3 bosses and unlock the ability to go beyond the wall, your first area to get started in will have dodos and plants called blow oat. Simply craft a few cattle transport boxes, snatch them up, bring them back to base. They need insects to eat, so craft a net, gather up the worms around your base, then feed it in or toss it in the feeder box. And don't forget to grab the blow oat seeds while you're in that biome as well. These 2 ingredients combined make for a consumable that rivals potions, if not better. The amount you heal is just absurd, and the fact that it's a persistent healing over time, it means you can get hit during its buff and still possibly regain some of that HP back as well. On top of that, there's plenty of skills in your skill tree that contribute to this type of healing much more effectively than potions, such as healing potency, and since I prefer this path of the vitality tree, it works perfectly. Plus at max cooking, I believe the, what is max cooking? The sharing is caring. So yeah, that should also benefit from healing potency. So healing potency is here in your vitality tree. You get 18, well at level 3 I'm getting 18% more healing from health over time regen. This one would be for healing potions, but like I mentioned, healing potions are, you know, they're also fairly hard to get. But the this side of the tree I usually prefer, since strong and healthy makes more sense to me. You get more damage at max health, whereas like this is, you know, saying you're okay with existing at low HP. I don't really like to play that risky, so I'd rather just know that I'm usually at max HP when I'm out there adventuring anyway. And you get to max HP pretty quickly using stuff like healing potency and the comboed food that you get from the dodo egg and the blow oat, which I haven't really shown, have I? It's this right here. The most important reason why this ends up being more superior than potions is their ease of access and the abundance. Instead of the tediousness of crafting a red slime farm and eventually a purple slime farm, which you should still do, of course, you'll realize that it takes so much just to create a few potions, whereas this food combo just beats them outright anyway. The reason you still want some potions is because of the massive chunk of HP a potion will give you on the spot. There's obviously a cooldown, but nothing beats popping food when you're slightly hurt, or popping one potion and then food when you're dangerously hurt, healing you to max almost instantly. By having this type of method, you'll manage to keep yourself from using too many potions anytime you get hurt. Now, let's not disregard many of the other buffs that food offers. We have food that heals us extremely well, but what about food that deals damage or food that helps us take less damage? Knowing which food offers what buff is important here. If you're physical ranged, that would be papaya. If you're melee, that would be pine grapple. Do I have cooked pine grapple? Oh yeah, right here. Physical melee damage for 10 minutes. The papaya is physical range damage for 10 minutes. If you're magic, that would be sunrise right here. you get 30% magic damage for 10 minutes. I'm using the heartberries as like the constant. All the heartberry gives you when cooked is the 25 max health for 10 minutes. So you can ignore that for the most part. And then the Lunicorn will give you minion damage. So depending on what type of build you're going for, you would obviously pick the corresponding one. And then we can also see what having golden food turns the buff into, right? So we have the heartberry, the food type, and the outcome for physical range damage. With a golden papaya, we have more physical range damage because there's golden food involved, and the fact that the papaya is the golden food, we also get the hidden 10.5 range attack speed for 10 minutes, right? So golden food will amplify the effects, and the chosen golden food, in this case the papaya, will give you its hidden effect. And the reason that's important is because adding golden food increases the stat. So in turn, adding two golden foods like the golden heartberry and the golden papaya means that physical range damage is going to go up even higher, right? So from 22.4 to 35.2 all the way up to 40.5. That physical melee damage is the hidden effect of the golden heartberry, so you can ignore that. But you can see the range attack speed also went up because we're adding more golden food into the equation. So the same applies for the sunrise, all the other food as well. 30 magic damage with regular food. It goes up to 54.1 magic damage, and you also get a magic barrier with the golden sunrise. And then with 2 golden food, you're seeing a 62.2 increase and a 70 increase of the magic barrier. For the Lunicorn, we're seeing minion damage and then higher minion damage as well as minion attack speed, and then it goes all the way up to 56.8% minion damage and nearly 80% minion attack speed. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good in my opinion, right? Like I'm sure you understand that golden food, very, very powerful. Now, realistically, even if you have a fairly decent sized farm, it will take a while before you have a ton of golden plants, considering even at max level, the chance is only 15% of getting a golden plant. So here's a few good methods to adopt. First, saving the golden food for the most part and only really using them when you're getting ready for a boss. So that would include like your best golden food. Like for a range build, you're probably trying to be relatively scarce with your usage of the golden papaya, and maybe the golden blow oat, you're trying to be relatively scarce with that too. You can tell I have a majority of golden blow oat as the gold because I knew how much I would value golden or blow oat in general. So to see the numbers make sense, right? Like the most of one plant we have is blow oat, so you'd imagine the most golden food of that would be blow oat, right? So when it comes to things like that, it's that you don't have to consider too scarcely, but for things that are major buffs to you, then yeah, you probably want to be a little more scarce with it. But second, as you saw, having one golden food involved in a recipe will boost all the stats involved, as well as offer an additional buff. Obviously not as great as 2 golden foods, but when we're trying to be conservative, it's not a bad idea to use the other golden foods to help. So you can either make it so a majority of your farm is one type of food, or just choose whichever golden food you have a ton of. Like for me, I just have so many golden heartberries. I have a lot of golden glow tulips. So if I wanted to just make like an absolute absurd amount of range damage buffs, it wouldn't be that ridiculous for me to take, you know, all these regular papayas and just use up all these golden glow tulips because I'm not really using it for anything else, and just make easily 317 of these, or 350 if I wanted to add more to it. And I'll just have 350 physical range damage food just chilling for whenever I want to pop it. So you understand, like it's a little extra buff and it doesn't hurt, but it would be ideal to choose maybe like in my instance where I chose gold or the blow oat. If you were to do the same thing, this would make more sense for you to kind of use a little more, use more of it without worrying that you're wasting a lot. Obviously, like 350 is that's so much. You're probably never really going to get through all that. So it's still precious to me, the golden blow oat. So I don't necessarily need to just throw it all away. But if I wanted to give myself like 116 of the golden blow oat and the papaya, then I could do that, and I would get a decent amount of HP regen as well as physical range damage buff. So anytime I get hit and I know that I'm gonna heal anyway, I could pop that combination, and now suddenly for the next 10 minutes I have additional damage as well on top of the healing that I'm receiving. So that's usually how I go about it. It works well with every food, and what better excuse to swap off your pickaxe or weapon than to heal right away. While having that heal also accompanied by a buff seems smart enough. So HP regen and extra damage for your main weapon go well together. But in case you wanted to see what all the other golden food does, I have them here. And for these examples, I just use papaya, but that doesn't make them any less viable when it's mixed in with melee or magic type food, since it's actually pretty useful to be a hybrid build in this game. But you can see I combined papaya, golden blow oat, and that results in 15 health regen. This is the one I just mentioned for the health regen and the physical range. And then the golden blow oats hidden stat is 12% less food drained when running for 10 minutes. That's not a big deal. I wouldn't even consider it for that. It's mainly just for the healing. So for the we've already seen this one. This is for physical and physical melee, physical range. In case you're doing like a hybrid of range and melee. This is the glow tulip. You're getting mana regen and max mana in case you're a bit of a hybrid of ranged and magic, which I think I might end up doing myself, just so that I can sort of send out like a blast of mana with one weapon, and then instead of waiting for my mana regen, I could just swap to my ranged weapon and still, be using food that buffs both of them. For the golden bomb pepper, you get your movement speed, which is normal for the bomb pepper, and then you're adding the additional effect of melee attack speed. And then for the golden Karok, which is normally defense or armor, you're gaining a ton of armor and also knockback. So those are just some of them that you might consider as your combination. Let's see. Oh, I do want to emphasize the importance of having cooking maxed out, as it can give you even greater buff stats if you manage to proc the master chef skill. This is obviously nice to have for your usual food usage. So anytime you're about to craft a bunch of food, maybe even if you're not spec'd into this, you're making enough money anyway through my fishing bait method that it should cost you nothing to just reset and then put a bunch of points into here, then cook, claim your food, and then once that's all done, you can reset and go back to what you would normally have your points into, which for me would be like this side of the tree. So yeah, the master chef skill, let's see, its real importance lies in the food you're most likely saving for boss fights, even though you still want to do it as often as possible, but it really shines when it comes to that type of cooking. I'll often reset my cooking skill Put points in Master Chef before attempting to make food. This is especially important for boss fighting food. I just said that. If Master Chef procs on your rare food, it becomes epic tier, and the stats are even higher. So we saw what golden papaya and golden bloat, it turns into this rare juicy oat cereal. So you're seeing the physical range damage at 40.5%, huge gain. And then you're seeing the 12.1 range attack speed, huge gain, as well as the massive amount of HP regen you're getting at the top there. But if you get Master Chef to proc, you'll actually see epic juicy oat. I had to snatch this from a fully upgraded character to even remind myself like how much this stuff actually goes up by. But it's not like game changingly different, but it is a pretty significant amount that you would you know it doesn't hurt to have something like that, especially when you're prepping for a boss and you're making all the types of food that you would for bosses. Like, it would be amazing to just get one of these, and you might even get a chance to get double the amount or you know, the additional ones you get for from your cooking skill. Lastly, the ultimate setup is to have a potion ready, right? So you would I can sort of set it up, but having like a potion ready, having your food ready, the food from the dodo egg, and the bloat oat, as well as having food that would give you buffs for damage, right? So in my case, that would be like the if I wanted the hybrid food right here, so I would have that, and I would make a ton of these, right? And I already showed you earlier, like that wouldn't be a problem. I can make like 200 of these right now if I wanted to. I would have a bunch of these ready to go, and a heal for if I get hit, some heal over time if I were to get hit, and then the I could occasionally just pop these for my buffs. It would last 10 minutes. It doesn't even have to be like doubling up on a damage type of food. You could go for, you know, a defensive type of food. Get some extra armor with the additional amount of damage you're going to be doing. And you can just have a bunch of that, right? You can make as many of those as you need. And if you know that you'd rather have that defense, or that it'd be nice to have that defense, then you should probably go and grab as many Karok seeds as you can. For me, I don't value defense that much, whereas like I'd rather kill things quicker. So you can see like my Karok situation. I don't plant a whole lot of them. But that's typically the setup for me, is to have that potion, a healing food, and then buff food. Excuse me. I even have my mouse button. I guess this is worth mentioning. I even have my mouse button. You have like mouse 4 and mouse 5 on the side of your mouse. I have like a 6th one. Some of you might have it as well. I have that 6th one bound to keybind 9 or number 9, whatever. So if I ever get hit, I could just immediately, you know, without having to scroll through and find my potion or over scroll and be like, I missed it, whatever. I could just hit the one button. You know what I mean? And it goes straight to my potion. And then I know that, you know, as long as you're placing it in that order, this is just a little extra tip, right? So I'm attacking with 3, whatever. I get hit, I pop my potion. I can scroll once towards 8, right click for my food. And then, you know, just the occasional, if I wanted to, I can pop the, my buff food as well. So simple as that, right? I think that's just a little extra tip. And that's mostly it. Other notes worth mentioning is why you want crafting XP, and that would be because you can eventually craft polished versions of some jewelry, which give you hidden stats that isn't on the normal version of that gear. So the normal gold crystal ring, for example, this gives you a ton of physical range damage, and, you know, upgrading that is going to give you even more physical range damage, especially with it being like at level 7, its base damage is 17.3. So each level up, you're going to see that get increased pretty significantly. I don't know where I put it, but the the polished version of that will actually give you less physical. I think it's in here. 1 second. That's the normal one. That's the polished. Okay. So at level 10, the gold crystal ring goes up to 23.3%. And if you were to get a polished, it starts at level 13. And instead of the physical range being as high, like this is already 3 levels higher, and we're still not seeing it like anywhere really close to 23.3. But you're getting the added benefit of the range attack speed. So me personally, I actually like to have 2 of the polished gold crystal rings and the polished copper necklace as well. As it's pretty good. It might not be the best, but that's all I got right now with this new character. Whereas you could have like a more critical hit chance with the non-polished version at a higher level, or you can get the polished, get slightly less critical hit chance. I think at level 11 or something like that, the critical hit chance is around 11% something. But instead I'm also gaining critical hit damage. It might not be better as the polished version in my opinion when it comes to the critical necklace, but I don't know. I feel like I crit often enough with the amount of times I'm attacking anyway, since my attack speed is relatively high, and it'll change as you progress. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. I hope you learned something there. If you need a lot of money, you want to do a bunch of upgrades, you don't want to feel guilty about upgrading some of your less important gear, like your harvesting gear. That's probably not your top priority. You probably want to upgrade your DPS gear first. You won't feel as guilty spending like a ton of money if you have the ore and the resources to upgrade your extra gear, right? Like your mining gear. For me, early on, the Ring of Stone, instead of having Ring of Stone and Ring of Rock for that plus 49 mining damage, I chose to have 2 Rings of Stone, and I upgraded them as high as I could at the moment, and now I have plus 111. Since the Ring of Rock doesn't give you mining damage, it gives you like defense or something. It's only the set bonus that gives you the mining damage, and that's obviously capped at 49. So upgrading these past their original level will give you a lot more mining damage, and so I obviously sought that as being beneficial and chose to do that, and I could because I have a ton of money and it doesn't hurt to do that. And you can also do it for your if you have like a movement equipment set. I like to have movement, DPS, mining, and a movement set. I could easily upgrade these and not feel guilty about it. The same for like the armor as well. So that's it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like that. Comment down below if you have other methods that you like to do, maybe for like min-maxing purposes. I'd love to see them. I'd love to really like flesh out how much you can do, how quickly you can really slingshot a new character into the apex of the early game, the mid game, and what end game looks like. End game, I'm currently not there yet. We're sort of taking our time with 1.0. I'm currently streaming it at twitch.tv/AjilityPoints if you want to stop in. This world, there's only a few people in it right now. I've invited a bunch of people, but people are busy. People got jobs. So if you get familiar with the community and whatnot, then I wouldn't mind getting you involved. But that's it for me. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Take it easy. Be safe. Goodbye. Bye bye.